What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about still learning and continuing to learn as a motorcyclist. I've seen so many videos, so many reels, so many YouTube shorts come through my feeds that are just a ton of motorcyclists making really bad decisions, and it's so many motorcyclists crashing when it's entirely avoidable. Like, I mean entirely avoidable. Like, a car pulls out of them, pedals out on them, they could have let off the gas, braked, and been fine, but instead they decided to like pull in the clutch, rev really loud to be angry, and they smashed into the car. And it's like, what are you accomplishing? You know, I'm seeing people who don't know how to turn, they're target fixating, all this stuff. And so today I want to talk about that, where how I keep learning, how I keep improving as a motorcyclist, and some of my humbling experiences. So first, we'll start with some of my humbling experiences. So one of the best ways to get humbled quickly is to go to the racetrack, and that's because you can actually push your machine to the limits. You can actually you know, and most people can't actually push their machines to the limits. I was watching a reel where it was this guy, he had like a Ninja 500, it was brand new, and his reel was like, oh, I've put 1,000 miles on this thing, I'm already bored with it and I'm ready to upgrade. And you can see in the video that he has massive chicken strips. I mean, he has not gotten that bike leaned over at all. I mean, all he's doing is accelerating in a straight line like what I just did. And on a lot of bikes, it's really not that scary, especially if you're, you know, not getting, like, not, you know, popping the clutch at all, like you're able to keep the front tire down. It's like, it's really not scary once you've done it a couple of times. Maybe the first time you do it, it's kind of scary. But, you know, he was like, oh, I'm ready to move on, I'm so bored, Ninja 500 so below me. And it's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, if you take that to a racetrack, I guarantee that your skills after 1,000 miles being put on that bike are nowhere near good enough to actually ride a racetrack somewhat competently. Like, you're gonna look like an idiot. And that's one of the ways that whenever I feel a little bit arrogant or anything like that, go to the racetrack. That's where I know, like, this is my temple of humbling, right? Because I've gone wide off corners on racetracks, which is a great lesson in target fixation and committing to corners. And it's also a great lesson about how you can actually change your line mid-corner. You can actually apply brakes, you can actually roll off throttle, add throttle, you can correct your target fixation, and you can also correct your body position. This is one that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about, but I worked with a coach for 2 sessions at the last track that I did, and the thing he just emphasized to me all the time was drop your elbow more, like get your body into position like better, prepare for the corner better, and the more you commit to it with like leaning off further and stuff, like the better you can go around these corners. And you know, I think like in my head, like, oh, my body position is fine, like I'm totally fine the way I'm doing my body position. But it's not until you humble yourself and go ask a coach and they work with you that you'll actually get better. And I noticeably went faster around the corners when I committed. And I also found that, like, when I thought, oh wow, I'm entering this corner really fast, if I just committed with my body position and I got my elbow down, I could go through it just fine. And that's one of those things where it's like, oh, you go out on the street, and a lot of these accidents I see on these reels are people on the streets riding, and especially new riders, where they'll be like merging on an on-ramp or whatever, where there's a slight turn, and that slight of a turn is just throwing them completely off, and it's like this, you just go straight into that telephone pole or something, because they don't know how to turn, they're not learning the body position. And to be fair, the MSF does not teach you body positioning, like hanging off or anything like that, really. It's kind of a lot of like parking lot drills. Maybe they teach you counter steering, but you know, if you're going too fast into a corner or something, if you drop your elbow and you get your body position a little better. Now, I'm not advocating like dragging knee and attempting to drag knee all the time. But if you come cooking into a corner too much, you better believe like you can actually apply some brakes. And that's one of those misnomers I feel like I hear so much from people, where they're like, oh, you can't brake in a corner. And it's like, what are you talking about? You can absolutely brake in a corner. Like, that's what trail braking is. And if you want to practice braking in a corner, go to a racetrack and trail brake. And you know, Yamaha Champ School teaches using the rear brake mid-corner to adjust your line. And it's like, you obviously aren't stomping on it because you want to wash out one of them. But I see a lot of these accidents where it's like someone's coming around a corner, a car pulls out on them, they were probably speeding, or you know, whatever is going wrong, or the car is turning from this lane going left where they're crossing the whole lane. Like, something's going on that's maybe your fault or not, who cares? But the goal is, now you got to avoid this accident. And I just see people plow into them all the time, like you didn't even reach for the brake. You didn't give any brake pressure. And that's one of the most amazing things. I forget the statistics, but there are statistics on this where it's like they can collect crash data from people, and they find that, you know, hardly anybody actually applies nearly the threshold of braking that their vehicle can before an accident. And now with so many bikes having ABS, it's like, guys, just learn how to use the ABS, just learn how to brake hard. There's not even that much to learn with ABS and 6-axis IMUs. But, you know, it'll help you. And, you know, in this corner right here, it's like, look, I can start braking. See? It's like you can stand the bike up a little bit. I don't even have to sit there and downshift and rev match. If I'm coming into this corner really hot and someone's pulled out on me here before, I can just, oh, I'm slowing down, right? And yeah, it stands the bike back up, but I didn't grab a bunch of brake pressure all of a sudden, right? I didn't wash the front end out. I put some pressure on to start, and then I can increase it from there. And I'm just like, oh, this whole like misnomer of you can't brake in corners, I feel like is so bad, and it's causing so many accidents, because it's like, yeah, you can brake in corners, you just don't grab a fistful of brakes in the corners. That's the important distinction. Like, you can use the rear brake in the corners. Like, literally go to Yamaha Champion Racing School's Instagram page, and you'll see they recently posted a video of like an R9 simulation using the rear brake in the corner to adjust the line. Like, they're literally teaching you to do it. One of the other things I want to talk about is crashes where people then react so poorly. Oh, and we got the police. See, we go on the speed limit, we got no problems. I don't need a cop interaction. I don't need to film anything. I'm not going to sit here and rev my engine. We're just going to be normal riders. Be all incognito. But yeah, the other thing I want to talk about is people who are crashing and then they're super mad about it. Like, they're in these crashes that are oftentimes avoidable, whether it's, you know, they were going too fast, or they didn't even grab the brakes or whatever, and then they're super mad at the car driver and the car, and they just like kick in the windshield if they like landed on top of the car when they crash, or, you know, they verbally assault or verbally berate the person in the car, whatever it is, or hitting mirrors. I just think all this is so immature. Like, it's so childish. And I think, you know, one of those things they teach you when you ride on the racetrack is that they teach you that the bike in front of you and the rider in front of you, when you're all suited up and with a helmet on, your brain tends to think of them as like, this is just an obstacle I have to get around. This is not a person. This is like a car on the road that I need to, you know, split through, or whatever it is. And it's such a good reminder to be like, no, this is a person, and like, I'm responsible that the passes I do for their safety, right? That's the thing. You overtake someone from the rear, they don't know what's going on behind them. You're the one responsible for completing that pass. And recently I saw a video of someone riding on the track, and he was absolutely just coming in on this guy. And the guy was obviously like pretty new to riding at the track, really bad, really slow. And the guy, like, you know, he didn't anticipate how slow the bike was going in front of him, and he went like straight off the track because he couldn't like turn or whatever in time because of this other guy kind of messing him up. And it's like, nope. When we're on the racetrack, when we're riding on the road, you should all have the attitude that's like, you know, this pass I'm gonna make safely, it's my responsibility to do so. And that's fine. That's fine to do that. You're fine to, you know, drop down a gear and start weaving through traffic or splitting. I don't care. But the thing is, you just have to recognize, like, it's your responsibility. You're the one on the bike. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you're the one that's gonna pay the cost, bear the burden, and you know. So I think that mentality of being on the racetrack and being like, you know, these aren't just obstacles, but these are people. These have families. These have real lives. These might have like children in the car. It's whatever it is, right? Where it's like a much more mature mentality about riding and responsibility, and just not viewing everything as like an obstacle and like an enemy on the road. I feel like that's a good way to say it. Like, I feel like a lot of people treat other car drivers and other riders sometimes like they're your enemy, like they're in the way. And it's like, no, nobody in traffic wants to be in this traffic, man. So you can calm down and not just go like nuclear on all these random people. And you'll also notice that it's starting to rain, and that's because when you learn these skills on the track, you learn how to brake, you learn how to ride in inclement weather and all this stuff. Like, you can be safe in all sorts of different conditions, right? And you can still be having fun. So I don't know, guys. That's just a couple of my takeaways from riding at the racetrack this weekend, where I was like, man, like, a lot of these people need to get out, they need to ride the track, they need to experience this, they need to learn a lot from it, they need to humble themselves. And I learned this all the time myself. And, you know, going to the racetrack, I got really humbled this weekend. I had a terrible time my first several sessions out. I was slow, I wasn't confident, but you know, it's sometimes good to approach things with that sort of like humbleness, right? So anyway, guys, thanks for checking out this video. I will catch you all in the next video. You all ride safe.